Hello and welcome back. In today's lesson, I would like to present you about the GraphQL queries. So I will create a simple page where I will use the GraphQL queries to fetch 4 random products with the product name, SKU, price and the image, and I will create 4 product boxes based on this fetched information, and I will also add Alpine.js logic for hiding and showing the container. So if the queries is fully loaded, then we are showing these 4 boxes. If it's not loaded, then we are showing the loading indicator. And within this lesson I will also add some challenges, some to-dos where you can add loading indicator from the Hyvä team, and at the end of the lesson I will use the Tailwind utility classes for styling the different boxes. So if you would like to know more about the GraphQL queries, and also if you are interested in the GraphQL query usage within the Hyvä team, stay here and enjoy the lesson. So let's get started. So first of all, I would like to clarify with you what is the GraphQL query. So GraphQL query is actually the API, and this is alternative to REST API, but this is more efficient and modern way of fetching the information or the data from the shop. And Hyvä is also using GraphQL queries to fetch different data from the backend. Let's say this can be also the product data, customer data or category data and so on. And based on this information, you can create your front-end implementation on the different pages. And as you can see here, we have the customizing GraphQL documentation where you can find some basic examples with the GraphQL queries. On the official Adobe developer documentation page, you can find different product queries like category queries, category list, compare list and products, but in our case the products queries will be interesting because we will also use this to fetch the different product data. So I already created the page and you can find this in our shop under the Hyvä Hero GraphQL page, and here I will implement these GraphQL queries, and based on this information I will create product boxes with different information like product name, product price, and I will also style this with the usage of the Tailwind CSS utility classes. In the end, this will be also nicely responsive, and also for the JavaScript logic, I will implement the Alpine.js functionality with the usage of the native JavaScript, where we will fetch the GraphQL queries. So let's get started. So I already prepared this page with this test information, and if you would like to use the GraphQL queries within our Hyvä team, then we will implement the GraphQL view model, and based on this view model you can create the GraphQL queries. And here we have 3 arguments within these GraphQL queries, like with the query identifier. This will be the random name for your queries. In this case we have the product list query, and also after that we have the queries, and here we are fetching the 20 products item, and the type can be simple product, configurable product, bundle product and so on. So this will be that as a variable, and here we are fetching the product SKU, ID and the image with the URL, and here you can fetch this information with the usage of the GraphQL view model, and you can add the information to the page. The 3 argument is important. The 3rd argument is optional, so it's not necessarily needed for your GraphQL, but the first with the name and also the query is the most important part of this case. So now I will also add first the different variable at the top of the page. So this will be first the Magento, framework, view, element, and then the template. And this will be actually our block. So this we are using the standard template declaration in this case. And the second will be the for the escaper. And the third case will be the view model registry. So based on this view model registry, or with the usage of this view model registry, we will fetch this GraphQL view model. And this coming from the Hyvä. Hyvä team, model, and then the view model registry. So the previous was for the escaper, and this will be for the view models. And also we will add the usage of the Magento framework escaper, and also with the use of the template. And the view model registry. So first of all, we will integrate the view model registry with the GraphQL view model, and this will be the GraphQL view model. And here we are calling the view model require and then the Hyvä GraphQL view model and GraphQL view model as a class. And we are closing the PHP tag. So this will be our GraphQL view model, and based on this GraphQL view model we will create the query. So now let's create the script tag where we will fetch this product information with the GraphQL. Here we are also using the strict mode. And then let's create the component init product component. And here we have the return state. Let's create the products empty array, and after that we are fetched the product information based on these GraphQL queries, then we will fill up these arrays with the product information. And then let's create the fetch products function where we will add the GraphQL queries. So we have the fetch products, and here let's create the query. And within this PHP, we will use the first the no escape tag. And then based on these GraphQL queries, we can use the GraphQL view model with the function query. And within this query, we can add our queries. And now if you are checking the GraphQL examples.txt, I already prepared 2 queries for you. So the first queries, within the first query, you will see that with the usage of the filter SKU, you can also select only one product. In this case, we are selecting the product with this SKU, and we are fetching the ID, name, SKU, and the small image with the URL and label by this product, and also with the price range, minimum price, regular price, value, and currency, we are also fetching the related price with the related currency. So I can also add this to the query, or I also added one more example here. Here we are simply selecting 4 products, so we don't have filter, so we are not using filtering, and actually we are selecting 4 products with the ID, name, SKU, the small image, URL, and the label, and the regular price with the price and the actual currency. So I would like to use this one, but you can also add another filtering here. So if you have some another filtering requirement by this query, you can also adjust this here. But for now, I'm randomly selecting 4 products and adding to the query. So once again, actually we are created the fetch products function, and within this function we are created the constants query, and within this constants we are adding the query with the usage of the GraphQL view model from the Hyvä team, and here I'm simply created the new query with the name simple product query, where we are fetching 4 random products from the backend and selecting the ID, name, SKU, the image with the image information, and the currency with the actual price. So we have now this query, and now we will create the fetch request, and based on this query we will fetch this random 4 products. So for this I will create the endpoint, and we will add this endpoint to the fetch request. So here you can use the base URL variable, because within this base URL we have already our shop URL, and you should extend this with the GraphQL. And now let's create the fetch request, and in the first parameter will be the URL, and this will be the endpoint, and then question mark parameters with the new URL search params, and then let's add another information, like a method will be get method, and we are also setting the headers. And this will be the content type, application JSON. Let's create a then with the response. So if we are getting the response, then this will be response JSON. And one more then. And if we are getting the results, then we have this products array, and simple we are prefilling this array with the product information, what we are fetched from the GraphQL queries. So let's check quickly the result here with the console log. And also quickly create the section where we can test this component with the fetch product function, and we can check the console log that we are getting back. So here we are using the Alpine.js syntax with the xData, where we are initializing the init products component, and by the initializations we are calling the fetch product function, fetch products. And if we are saving this and checking the console, we have here in the console log this object, data, products, and 4 items. So our GraphQL query looks good already. So we are selecting here the products, and as you can see here we have the ID, also the name and the price range, the minimum price with the regular price, with the price value and the currency. And this is for times, so the queries looks good already. And for the product data, actually we would like to select the data, products and the items. And then by the fetch request we can also create the catch function where we have the errors. So if we have some errors with the queries, or the fetch request that doesn't work correctly, then we have the catch case, and in this case we can console log this error message. GraphQL error with the related error. So now we are created the GraphQL queries where we are fetching the for product random information. And now we would like to add this information to our section div. And here I can also create 2 different div wrapper. In the first, this will be shown if the product data is not loaded in the first time, so we have the loading information, and if it's loaded completely, then another second div is visible. And in this case, in the second div we have every for product information already filled up, and we have nicely styled with the Tailwind CSS utility classes. So for this we can create a new flag with the isLoading. And set to true. because in the first time the isLoading status is active, so the query is loaded. And here in the fetch request we can also add a new case with the finally state, as in this case if the queries or the fetch request is completely finished, then we have this finally case where we can set the isLoading to false. So the queries is not loaded anymore, so it's fully loaded, and we can set back this isLoading flag to false. So let's create this one as well. And here this is loading false. So now let's create also here the div if the queries is not loaded yet, and this will be the loading indicator. Where we can use the X show, and if the isLoading is true, then we can use this indicator box, or we can show this. And here I'm adding here simply the loading text. So as you can see, the first time if I'm reloading the page, then the isLoading is there, but if the query is loaded fully, this text is not visible anymore. Let's create the template for the second div where we are showing the 4 products. And here with the template you can create the dynamic template using Alpine.js if syntax. It means that if it's true, the if, so it means isLoading is false, so it's not true anymore. Then we can create this box. So I can also add here the ID. This will be the product container. I can also add here one more div. Here I can add the image. And here you can use this double point and source. And if you add the source, then you can fetch the product data later. But first of all, I should also fetch these products and create the for each, and after that, based on this product information, we can call the product image, product name, product SKU, product price, and so on. So let's also extend our template. After the product container, I will also create one more template syntax with the use of the x4. So this is for the for each iteration, and then I call the product in products, and also you can add here the key, and this will be in this case the product ID, for example. And now if you created the image tag first, Then you can call the product, and then this will be the small image and the URL. And also for the alternative tag, this will be the product, small image, and this will be the label. This is for the alternative text. As you can see here, if I'm reloading this, we have the loading text, and after that we have this for product image based on these products x for each loop, and then we are added the URL with the product label. Also, I will add one more div here after the image tag. Where we can fetch, for example, first the product name. So we have also the product name, and we can add the product SKU. So we have also the product SKU, and then let's create the price box with 2 span elements, for example. And the first will be the X text with the product, price range, minimum price, regular price, and this will be the value, and in the second span this will be the currency. So as you can see here, we are fetched the product small image with the URL and the label for the alternative text, and the product name, SKU, and after that we are created the price box with the product price value and with the actual currency. So now I will also add here some styling with the Tailwind utility classes. First of all, I will style this loading container. With some padding. And then for the product container, let's add the grid style with the grid calls 1, and also for the responsive styling for the medium, and also some gap and some margin. So this looks good already. So this is in the grid layout and nicely responsive, so you can recheck this. So on the large screen we have this 4 grid element in one row, but if you are going to the mobile view, then you will see we have the 4, 2, 2, and then we have the 1 one by one listing. So let's create the styling for the items itself. Also, I'm adding some padding, some background, some border, and also some fancy box shadow. So we have this card view for the products. And also let's add some class to the Tailwind utility classes to the image with the full width, some height, and some object cover styling, and also the rounded. So let's add some style here. The object cover looks better. And also let's add the style to the product name with the H2. And also for the product SKU. And let's add some style to the price box. For the value and the currency. And some margin. This can be also in text center. Okay, so now we are created these 4 product cards, because we are added here the page size 4, but actually you can add here 8 and reload the page. Then you have 8 products listed here randomly, but here we will stick with the 4 first as an example, where we are fetched the ID, name, SKU, and the small image with the URL label, and also the price, regular price with the value and the currency. So we are use the fetch request, where we are fetch this query with the usage of the base URL and the GraphQL parameters. And then if we are getting the result, then we are adding this to the products array, filling this up. In this case of error, we are also created the console error. And also if it finally loaded, then we are setting the is loading flag back to false, so it's not loading anymore. And based on this X loading flag, we are using the loading indicator. And if the product is fully loaded, then we have the product here and styled with the Tailwind utility classes. And with the usage of the Alpine.js, we are using this template syntax. So and based on this is loading, we are showing the indicator or the products. So now you can stop the video and you can create your unique loading indicator. And for this you can check the Hyvä documentation. If you are checking the point 8 with the utilities, you can find the indicator So the Hyvä is already created the animated fancy loading indicator. In this case, if you would like to show some indicator or loading animation, if your fetch request is loading and the product data is not loaded yet fully, and we are added here this text here, but you can change this with the usage of the loading animation. So here is the instruction, and now you can stop the video and you can change the loading indicator with the usage of the loading indicator from the Hyvä. And after that, if you finish this, I will show you the solution. Have fun and let's get started. So now I will present you the loading indicator integration within our product component. And for this, you can find the related XML by the Hyvä Hero GraphQL index. And here, within this products HTML, I already placed the loading HTML from the Hyvä team, as you can see here. And now actually you should place this loading get child HTML block syntax with the PHP echo. And after that, if you place this within your container, then this animation will be shown. And we are already added the isLoading flag, so this is already there. So you should only place the loading get child HTML within your products HTML. So I will simply replace this here. And if you refresh the page, then you will see this fancy loading animation from the Hyvä team. So we don't have this static loading text. Instead of, we are using the loading indicator from the Hyvä team, and actually every logic is managed by this isLoading flag. So this was the integration from the loading indicator, and I think this is very useful if you are using GraphQL queries or another request where you need some time to load the information. So you can integrate this every time. You can create really good customer experience on your pages.